Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table with a plate of your favorite meal before you, and you reach for that fresh orange juice that you love so much. You don't think twice about it, right? It's always there, like clockwork. But what if we told you that the journey of that orange juice from the orchard to your table is a lot more complex than you might imagine? And no, we are not talking about the production process. What if we told you that the continued availability of your beloved juice rests heavily on the back of one of the most important parts of the transportation sector, the trucking industry? You see, the trucking industry is the unsung hero of our everyday lives. It is the conduit that ensures that almost everything we need and use gets to our doorstep at the right time. You can think of anything at all, and the trucking industry has an active role to play in its availability. Given the importance of the industry, one would hope all the parts that make up the industry keep working in harmony, right? Well, that's where the problem lies. The trucking industry is fragmented, and very soon, it might affect the availability of your everyday items, including your fresh orange juice. When it comes to the trucking industry, one of the key reasons why it is so fragmented is its low barriers to entry. The requirements for starting a truck business are very low. Compared to some other industries, getting into trucking doesn't require you to have deep pockets. You don't need to build a massive factory or invest in a complex supply chain. All you really need are a few trucks, a good dose of determination, and a willingness to put in some serious miles. Think about it this way. Imagine you've got a couple of trucks, some licensed drivers ready to hit the road, and a solid business plan. You're pretty much set to start your own trucking company. You don't need to spend years in school or go through extensive licensing processes like you might in some other industries. But here's how it becomes a problem. When it's relatively easy for folks to get into the trucking game, you end up with a ton of small trucking companies popping up all over the place. It's like a crowded highway with everyone trying to get to their destination. And that destination is the same: success in the industry. So what's the result of all this? Competition, and lots of it. These smaller companies are constantly vying for business, trying to outdo each other on pricing, service quality, and efficiency. And this intense competition can sometimes lead to ruthless tactics as everyone competes with each other to win contracts and shipments. On the flip side, though, all this competition can be a good thing for consumers and businesses that need shipping services. With so many players in the field, there's usually a wide range of options to choose from, which can drive down prices and improve service quality. So while this low barrier to entry might make the trucking industry seem like a free-for-all, it is also a big reason why it's so fragmented. Another reason why the industry is so fragmented is the different types of freight handled. You see, the trucking industry isn't just about hauling stuff from point A to point B. It's about hauling a mind-boggling array of different things. There are companies that specialize in transporting refrigerated goods, making sure your ice cream stays frozen and your lettuce stays crisp. Then there are those who take on the challenge of carrying oversized cargo, like massive wind turbine blades or industrial machinery. There are also those in the trucking world that handle hazardous material. And we are not just talking about flammable stuff. We're talking about radioactive materials, or chemicals that require serious care and expertise. Now think about this for a second. Each of these specialized niches comes with its own set of rules, regulations, equipment, and know-how. It's not like you can just toss a shipment of dynamite in the back of your regular cargo truck and call it a day. You need specialized training, permits, and safety measures for that. So what does this mean for the trucking industry? Well, it means you've got a whole bunch of trucking companies, each focusing on their own niche. They become experts in their field, but it also means that the industry gets fragmented into all these different sectors. And this fragmentation is not necessarily a bad thing. It might make the industry seem divided, but it's also what makes it incredibly versatile and able to meet the diverse needs of businesses and consumers. So while the trucking industry might be fragmented due to the various types of freight, it's this specialization that keeps the wheels turning for so many different industries and keeps our world moving. There is also the problem of regional differences. So picture this. The United States alone is a massive country, right? And it's not the only one. You've got Canada, Australia, and many others around the world, each with vast stretches of land and unique logistics needs. Now, when you think about it, It makes sense that trucking would be organized regionally. Here's the deal. There are plenty of small trucking companies that operate within specific regions. They know the local roads, and they've got a loyal customer base that relies on their services. These regional experts are often the go-to choice for businesses looking to move goods within a specific area. Now here's where the fragmentation comes into play. These local heroes might not have the resources, or sometimes even the desire, to expand beyond their regional borders. It's like they've staked their claim to a particular territory, and they're perfectly happy with it. This leads to a patchwork of trucking companies, each specializing in their own neck of the woods. So if you're shipping products from New York to New Jersey, you might hire a local trucking company in each state because they know the area, the traffic patterns, and the local regulations like nobody else. But if you need to go cross-country, you might need to piece together a whole series of these regional experts. While this might seem a bit fragmented, there's a silver lining. These regional trucking companies play a vital role in keeping local economies humming. They create jobs, support small businesses, and keep goods flowing smoothly in their areas. Plus, they're often deeply rooted in their communities, which can lead to a more personalized and reliable service for customers. The independent nature of many truck drivers and businesses is another reason why the industry is so fragmented. You see, many truck drivers out there are independent contractors. They're not tied to the big behemoth trucking companies. Instead, they're working for themselves, or in small outfits that might just have a handful of trucks. The effect of this setup is that you have lots of independent truck operators without a consolidated framework. These independent operators might not have the resources, or maybe they prefer the freedom to join up with those massive trucking giants. As a result, you end up with a fragmented industry with a whole bunch of these independent players. They're out there hustling to secure their own clients, make their own schedules, and chart their own routes. But here's where things get interesting. This independence can be a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it encourages competition and innovation. These independent operators are like small businesses on wheels, always looking for ways to stand out and provide top-notch service. On the other hand, this fragmentation can also mean that the industry lacks some of the centralized control and consistency you might find in other sectors. Regulations, safety standards, and even pricing can vary quite a bit when you're dealing with a multitude of independent truckers. So while these independent contractors are the mavericks of the road, doing things their way, they're also a big reason why the trucking industry is so fragmented. It's a trade-off between freedom and a more cohesive, uniform approach to moving goods across the country. In conclusion, the trucking industry has a complex setup, and this very setup contributes to its fragmentation. From the relatively low barriers to entry that allow small businesses to sprout up, to the specialization in hauling diverse types of freight, and the regional expertise that keeps local economies thriving, it's a world where independent contractors often steer their own course. This fragmentation, though it may seem like a puzzle of disjointed pieces, has its own unique beauty and functionality. It offers consumers and businesses an array of choices, drives competition that can improve service and lower costs, and keeps goods flowing across the vast expanse of our nations. So while the trucking industry might appear as a collection of smaller players vying for their share of the road, it's this very diversity that keeps our world moving, one shipment at a time. It's a testament to the adaptability and innovation of the people who drive those big rigs, delivering the goods that make our lives tick.